Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wildcat Alley podcast. Alex Marcotullio, my boy Juice Thompson. Another exciting episode ahead of us. Wanted to thank our guys at New Amendment. Appreciate you putting this on for us. But to tip things off, Juice, we had a very successful week. 2-0 in the conference, 2 quad 1 wins. We obviously had a huge week for Northwestern basketball. Looking forward to tapping in with you and talking all things Northwestern basketball. So first and foremost, good to see you. I'll see you again, obviously this week. But what are your initial thoughts from the past week? Obviously wins over Illinois at home and then Indiana on the road. Give me a couple quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts, man. We're a team to be reckoned with. I know we're right there, cracked that top 25, and we're looking like a tournament team. Defensively, we talked about how well we're able to defend and stop guys, they're key guys, and we're holding teams under 60 points. And now offensively, it looks like we're starting to find our groove, find a rhythm. So things are really exciting. What are your thoughts? We got 2 big wins, like you said. We got some tough opponents coming up. But I think the way we won those games were important. What did you see from those games?
Yeah, first and foremost, it was good to see us win multiple ways, right? Obviously against Illinois, it was more of a grinded out game. I was telling my buddy I was at the game with, it was like first one to 70 is going to win, or if Northwestern scores 70, no doubt in my mind we're going to win. We ended up scoring, I think, 73. So we were well on our way there. And then we go on the road at Indiana and score a lot of points, get on them early, and really punch them in the mouth. So that was good to see. Obviously, there's some stars that really shine through for the Cats overall. And obviously, we'll talk X's and O's here coming up. But initial thoughts for me is that we're, like you said, a force to be reckoned with. We received some top 25 votes this week. I think we got 21. So we're creeping into that poll, like we had mentioned. And right now, Joe Lenardi has the Cats dialed in as a tournament team. I think he has us in on the last 4 buys line right now, which would land us in like a 12-13 seed. I obviously think we have the potential to get even higher, and this week coming up is going to be crucial in the Big Ten standings. But it's a great week to be a Wildcat. We're 3-1 in the conference, sitting at the top with Purdue. So now it's time to break it down. Let's talk X's and O's, Juice. Let's talk about the games this week. Leading in, first off with Illinois, what are some things that you saw that the Cats did well, and during the game, during the week?
Yeah. First off, for that Illini game, shout out to the fans, especially that student section. What we expected happened. There was more orange and blue than there was purple and white. Those Illini fans did get loud. We shot, 40 free throws?
For a little bit.
They got loud, but our student section, with them being so close to the court and being that loud and all white, it really felt like we had our 6th man there, and I think that propelled us to that win. The team, they fed off of that energy, played well. And, with that, the way we played, 40 free throws, and we made 32 of them. We shot the ball well at the line. Some of our players, Boo Booey, he didn't have a great shooting night, but that just goes to show his experience. He got to the line 12 times. I think he was 11 for 12. He stayed under control. And most importantly, he still was able to defend, even though he didn't see shots go in. Our boy Chase Audige, still playing at a high level. All Big Ten defensive playing level. I think it was great. And just to see those fans come out and to hear that, so many fans were turned away because, they were at capacity.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And I'm sure you remember, I know I remember from my senior year, just having that crowd there, that support with that student section. It's unbelievable. You can really feed off of that energy. What did you see from an X and O standpoint from that Illini game?
Yeah, number one, defensively, I thought we took them out of what they wanted to do early. We really caused chaos. I thought, the amount of times that, someone like Terrence Shannon Jr. was in a scoring area was very limited. So right off the bat, I think our pressure and our defensive intensity really jump-started us from the get-go. We were ready to play. We got up in their stuff and took them out of their sets. Something that we have talked about other teams doing to Northwestern over the course of the last few weeks. I think we really flipped the script on Illinois and took advantage of their lack of experience in the backcourt. I know we had mentioned it on the last pod is that they didn't have a true point guard, although Epps did come in and play a really good floor game for them and really kept them in it early. The pressure from our guards, especially Ty and Chase, was a force to be reckoned with. And then I got to give kudos to our front line, right? We had a great effort all around from Nicholson, really held his own in there, did a great job of extending his ability on the perimeter as well. Like, he was guarding Coleman Hawkins. He was forcing him to take some tough shots and some shots off the dribble that he's typically not comfortable with. And then Robbie and Brooks, I thought, had a tremendous impact on the game as well. Obviously, we want to talk about big plays. Robbie Barron catching it off that drift screen, ripping it, and then dunking it on Illinois' big's head.
Yeah.
That's not too often we've seen that. And it really
I
got
stepped out of my
fans.
seat a little bit for that.
Heck yeah.
That was unexpected. I knew he had some athleticism. He was able, he improved his game. Yeah. And to see the intensity, to see how excited he was, and then to see our bench. The bench was involved, the coaching staff, everybody was excited and had things going. That's just great to see. Everyone was feeding off of each other's energy. We were able to pull out a big win. And just to go back, you mentioned our front line. One thing that I noticed, one play, we threw it inside to big Matthew Nicholson. Post up. Yep. Got it, immediately scored.
Nice
what I would like to see.
Really nice footwork.
Really good footwork. That was one of the first times I saw him, get an actual post touch and, try to go to work right away. He scored. I would like to see us continue to go into him, especially, we're going to be playing against some teams with some high quality bigs. We're going to have to try to, get them in foul trouble and make them guard in different ways. So that was a big win. Now, coming up after that, we go on the road. What do you think from an X and O standpoint after we got through that Illinois game, going on to the road down to Indiana?
I love the offensive adjustments we made. We always talk about defense, but let's talk about offense a little bit here. We started our offense in scoring areas, something that we have talked about sometimes ad nauseum here as something that we needed to do better of. And I think the coaching staff made terrific adjustments to get us around that 3-point line where our offense was starting. And then from there, we took advantage of aggressive Indiana team that really tries to get in the gaps and stop the drive. And then when you make shots early, like Robbie did, basically like everybody did, Ty got some good looks, knocked them down. I think we started the game 70% from 3-point range. So from there, that really opened up some driving lanes for us, and we took advantage of their lack of depth with a couple of their main guys being out, Race Thompson and Xavier Johnson. But overall, I thought our execution was terrific. Our game plan was really spot on, and we got the ball to the right people at the right time. We were making the right passes. You look at Chase Audige, I think he had seven assists in the first half, maybe 8, which was special, right? We were breaking ankles, we were dropping a dime, we were getting dunks, layups, but really good shots in rhythm in the offense. And when you get a lot of those, we're gonna knock them down, and it's great to see our guys play offense with confidence.
Definitely. And, now that we got that win against Indiana, looks like Indiana dropped out of that top 25. And now we're getting some consideration and some votes for that top 25 spot.
Rightfully so.
And, and one thing, we touched on after that Ohio State game, how they came out on our home court and threw the first punch. I feel like we did a great job of throwing the first punch against Indiana. First play, I think Matthew Nicholson gets a steal. Then we come down, we run a good set. Robbie Barron gets a shot close to the basket. We score. For someone like him, for any player, you make your first shot, the game changes a little bit. The rim gets a little bit bigger. Your confidence goes up, especially playing on the road in an environment like that. So I would love to see that. And then our aggressiveness. We always know our defense has been our staple. But offensively, at the line again, more than 25 times. We shot, 28 free throws. And you have to give credit to our backcourt of taking care of the ball. We're
7
doing
turnovers.
a great job of getting steals. Exactly. And we're
7
not turning the
turnovers
ball
on the
over.
road in a hostile environment. You can't ask for anything better. 2 conference games in a row below 8 turnovers. Below 8 and 7. 8 against Illinois, 7 against Indiana. Those are great numbers, especially coming from a point guard yourself, Juice. And a team like what we played on, that cherished the basketball. If we can continue to do that, we're going to really make some noise. And I think we're up to number 4 in the Big Ten Power in the power rankings. Obviously sitting at the top, tied for first with Purdue. So we're making some noise for sure. And it's good to see the offense start to catch up to the defense. I know they've said that a lot on the air and during the broadcast, but that's as true as a North Star. If our offense can keep pace with our defense, we're going to be a really tough out, and this podcast is going to be running all the way through March. If this is how we're going to
hopefully to April.
That's right.
Let's get to that championship. But back to what going back with those turnovers and everything from that Indiana game, I think we're doing a great job of when we do turn the ball over, they're dead ball turnovers where the other team doesn't have an opportunity to go score. I think we're doing a great job of limited teams scoring in transition or off of our turnovers. I think in the first half, Northwestern only had 1 turnover. Indiana had 9. And with that, we used our defense to generate easy offense, and that's how we were able to build that first half lead. So I think, we have to continue up that defensive intensity and continue to take care of the ball like we've been doing. Cats have been looking really good. Anything else, any other players that stood out to you in that game? For me, Ty Berry, second career double-double, 11 rebounds, 13 points. I just love how intense he is, how much he's improved, and he's playing both sides of the ball.
Right.
Anybody stand out to you from that game?
He's just Ty is obviously he's one of my favorites, and he's just one of those guys where the ball gravitates towards, right? And I think it's because he's always in the right position. It was tough to see him pick up a couple cheap fouls later in the game, and he eventually fouled out. But I mean, he was stellar. Chase got a couple deflections that went to him. He ended up getting steals. Chase had 6 steals. I think Ty had 4. And then, as the offensive standout, Boo Booey, 26 points, solid, getting to the basket, getting to his floater, just being aggressive and playing downhill, I think is going to be super important for him moving forward. Not settling for that jumper, which obviously we know he can hit, but being able to get downhill, which is going to allow him to have drive and kick opportunities, but really get to that floater and then give our big guys an opportunity to capitalize on the offensive glass as well. So if he continues that aggression, I think it's just going to create a lot of different opportunities for multiple people. And he seems to be making all the right plays. When he got that matchup against Miller Kopp, he really exposed that in a one-on-one instance and was able to play on 2 feet. I think that's something that Boo does really well. Plays off of 2 feet a lot. He comes to that jump stop. He's able to pivot, turn, either find the right guy or, again, get to that layup package that he's perfected here over the course of his 4 years in Evanston. So overall, just a really proud win. We weathered their storm, right? We built that 34-17 lead. They went on that little mini run to cut it to 4 or 5. And then, we scored at the end of the half, which was huge. And then came out and scored again in the second half and really took it to them. And, at the end of the day, Indiana made some tough shots. They have 2 studs as well. TJD, as well as Hood Schifino, both leaguers, right? Hood Schifino was coming off high ball screens like Brad Beal and just knocking down shots. I was like, some of these that he's hitting, you got to tip your cap sometimes. But I thought we made it tough on Trace Jackson Davis. The stat line, may say otherwise, but I thought he had to work for his 18 or 20 that he had. But what I really liked, and I want you to comment on this as well, is we really didn't let anybody else beat us, right? Those 2 got theirs, fine. Whatever, they combined for 60 some or whatever they ended up combining for. But we really didn't let anybody else get off. And everybody else maintained their responsibilities. We obviously, had a heightened focus on those 2, but they got theirs and nobody else really did. So what are some things that you saw that really helped us, rise to the top there in that game at Assembly Hall?
Yeah, so like you said, their 2 main guys, they got theirs offensively. Even though, we said they had to work for it, I think, they did a great job of honing in on those other guys, Miller Kopp, somewhat of the role players who averaged 9, 10 points. We didn't let those guys get comfortable. The guys, Schifino, he's coming off the ball screens. The ball was in his hands a lot for him to do some things and create for himself. I think if we continue to do that, we'll be in good shape. Obviously, we don't want players getting close to triple doubles or scoring 30 plus. But in situations like that, the way the game was going, it was great to key in and not allow those other guys to get into a really good rhythm and give a consistent third scoring option. And that's what I think was one of the differences for us, even on the second half. They were able to come back, fight back, but you know how it is. When you're battling back from a big lead, big deficit, you run out of gas towards the end. And, got to give credit to Boo. He made that one free throw, after missing the first one. But it turned out to be a really big free throw because they made that half-court shot that counted.
That would have been heartbreaking.
And, I just brought up, and I just brought up Boo, and you talked about how well he played, how composed he was. I really want to give him credit because, the game before against Illinois, he shot, I think, maybe 2 for 13, something like that. He had a off shooting night, but that just goes to show his confidence. He got back in the gym, went back to work, and then he was able to bounce back in that next game on the road. So overall, great win. Would love to see us keep those leads and not make it as close, but great teams find a way to win. So that's going to help us down the stretch, especially when it comes down to March, when the playoff Big Ten conference tournament starts. Then, as of right now, we're right there for the tournament. Hopefully we'll be a shoe-in. And these kind of games and that experience, I think, will help us down the road.
I completely agree, Juice. And obviously we have a big week ahead of us as well, right? Right back to the gauntlet. So let's talk scouting report a little bit now on the 2 games coming up this week. We obviously have Rutgers at home and then Michigan on the road this week as well. So obviously Rutgers is one of those teams that has given us some issues over the last couple of years. They're really well coached. They have some scores. They're really solid defensively. So I think it's going to be a tough challenge for us. They've held 12 of their 15 opponents to 65 points or less. And, we've had some scoring woes, so hopefully we could channel, that energy that we've had on the offensive end against Indiana and bring it back home and try to score some points against a difficult to play against Rutgers team. So who are some players that for Rutgers stick out to you that could potentially pose a challenge? Or what are some things that about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights that could give Northwestern some trouble here moving forward?
Yeah, number one is their defense. I think they're number one in the Big Ten. They're only giving up 56 points a game. Northwestern is close, around 58, 59 points. So it's going to be one of those grinded out games. Both teams are going to have to work offensively to get some high quality shots. But one of the players that I'm really excited to see in person play is Cam Spencer. His brother played at Northwestern. Cam is coming in from Loyola, Maryland. So he got to play for one of our old coaches, Tavares Hardy. And, he's playing really well. He made some big shots, and especially in that game against Purdue. They're coming in, they're high, they still have that confidence, even though they're coming off a loss to Iowa. But they beat number one Purdue on the road at Mackey Arena. And you know how hard it is to play there. Yeah. So he's one player I'm excited to see. Also, Caleb McConnell. He's like that all-around guy. Team overall, they have a lot of experience. And, this guy McConnell, he's 6'7", 6'8".
I feel like he's been there for 8 years, too. Like, he's got a ton of experience.
So that experience in itself is going to help. And I think, with that, he's averaging close to 2.5 steals. Was it reigning Defensive Big Ten Player of the Year? Yeah. About 10 points, 4 or 5 rebounds. So he's like that Swiss Army knife that you kind of have to watch out for, because some games he might only score 10, but he'll have 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. Or he might go out and get 20 and have 6 and 4. So he's one of those guys we really have to watch out for, not let him get going, get active. But definitely I think Cam Spencer is someone to watch out for. What else do you think we have to do from a scouting report standpoint to be successful in this game?
Yeah, I think number one, the guy that makes this team go is Paul Mulcahy. He seems to be the heart and soul of their team, a veteran leader, another one of those guys, another Swiss Army knife type. And I think he put 30 up on the Cats last year. So, he's one of those guys that just has us on the radar and seems to kill us every time he plays. And then I think their big Cliff Amorie poses a difficult matchup for us as well. Super athletic, dunks everything. So it's going to be another big test for the guys in the middle. We're talking about
got to stay out of foul trouble too.
Got to stay out of foul trouble, which I think Nicholson has done a great job of. That's something I missed about our Indiana scout, is that he did a great job of not fouling Trace Jackson Davis and allowing himself to play, almost the entirety of the game. And then when Titus came in, like, he was able to spare Nicholson a little bit more. I think we're going to see a lot of that moving forward. But yeah, staying out of foul trouble is huge, especially against a really athletic big like a Morier.
Yeah. And with that, you just mentioned how, our guys are staying out of foul trouble, especially big Matthew Nicholson. What kind of concerns me from a scouting report standpoint with our thin front line, guys getting tired, because that last game leading up to this Rucker game, 5 guys played over 30 minutes. Yeah. Yes, we have a great training staff. Coaches do a great job with practicing, but as that season goes on, you're traveling, you're taking classes, that can kind of weigh on players. So I'm just hoping that we can stay fresh and, try to get a few more minutes or spare some guys a couple minutes when we're able to, just so that they can stay fresh. And because like you said, they are low down there in the paint. They got an athletic big that can cause problems for us. But I think we do a great job with double teaming when the ball goes in the post, and our rotations are really good. So I think that's going to be big for us. And it's just going to come down to who's able to make some baskets. Both teams are defensive minded. I think Rutgers has held, 12 of their 15 opponents under 65 points. That's impressive. And early on in the season, Northwestern had a few struggles offensively. Lately, we've been finding our rhythm. We can keep that up. I think we'll be more than good. We know we're going to come out, play our team, our style of defense. So I think we'll be okay. Just got to make shots and continue to move the ball around. And, we added 200 more students, for the game. So I think that'll help. Hopefully we have a big crowd. So it should be a good game.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we make threes early, extend their defense a little bit, I think it'll allow us to maybe penetrate a little bit more, get some easier driving kick opportunities, and again, get to the foul line, somewhere that we've been beating a lot of teams up on this year, which is a really big surprise for us. And if our guards can continue to get downhill, get to the line, get others involved, I think we'll be in good shape. But I highly anticipate this to be an absolute Big Ten slugfest tomorrow, close game. Hopefully with the Cats coming up on top. But then
and it's retro night, so It should be fun. It should be a lot of people in the crowd dressed up in some throwback outfits. So maybe
they'll throw some of our baggy jerseys on or something.
Wow, man!
Shorts that were touching our ankles.
Shorts going to the ankles. Man, hey, we got to get Snoop Dogg back so he can put on Kyle Riley's old jersey.
5X.
How can you forget that?
We'll send you guys the pictures for that one.
Please do. Yeah, you got to post that on the episode. Yeah. But with that, so we got that game, Rutgers. Looking forward to that one tomorrow. And then after that, right back on the road. Michigan, your hometown.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, what was that like going back? What was your preparation like? How did you feel before the game, after the game, during the game? Walk me through all of that. We'll talk about what it was like playing or what our team needs to do now. But what was that like for you going back home?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was always one of those games that you got up a little bit extra for sure. Mm-hmm. You were extra amped, but you had to kind of tone it down, right? You had to, especially if I was starting or just coming in off the bench, really don't over-exude yourself early. Play within your means type thing. But really just try to put on for my city and put on for my family that was in the crowd. I would always have 30 or 40 people there, if not more, whenever we played in Ann Arbor. So, obviously that was a huge game for me, growing up a Michigan fan. And then, obviously having some family members go there as well. It was always a big moment to step into Chrysler Arena and try to put on a good show. So obviously we won there my freshman year with a great second half by you and Drew. So that was an incredible moment. We came back from down 17 or something like that. I'll never forget that game. But what they have to do this year, similar to what we did with Indiana, we have to stop their big guns, right?
Yes.
We have to make a concerted effort to double the post. Hunter Dickinson can obviously be, a low down low, right? Like he had 33 the other day in a win against Penn State. which is a career high for him. But him being 7'1", 260, he's a force to be reckoned with. He also has great feel and touch around the basket. But where I think we can really take advantage of them is in the guards, right? I think they're inexperienced in the backcourt with their transfer, Llewellyn, being out for the year. They struggled against Michigan State, right? They struggled to score. They struggled to get good offense earlier in the game. I think they only scored 18 points in the first half and really struggled to make outside shots. But I think it came because Michigan State took them out of rhythm. They took Kobe and Doug McDaniel basically out of the game and said, all right, Jet Howard, you're going to have to do a lot off the dribble, which he obviously can. He has that capability. But they made other people try to beat them. They doubled Dickinson every time in the post, forcing him to give it up, which is something that I think we'll do as well, and really make others beat us. So I think we're going to have that similar type of game plan. I know Michigan is a lot different team at home. They seem to make more shots there. They're a little bit more comfortable, and they play to their crowd as well, just like everybody in the conference. And I think this is going to be a very hungry team coming off a series of losses, coming into a game I bet they think they can win and get back on track with. So I'm anxious to see what type of game plan that we have. What are some keys to the game that you think going into Michigan as well?
I'm going to pretty much piggyback off what you said. I agree 1,000% with you. We got to stop the inside. We got to stop their big guns and the inside. Hunter Dickinson, he can really play. I think one game this year he had 32 and 12. Yeah. And what's really impressive about him, and you just see how good of a player he is, that last game against Michigan State, even though Michigan only scored 53 points, there was one moment in that game where they gave him the ball 5 straight times in the post, which you don't really see in today's game. It's a lot of threes, a lot of outside pick and rolls, isolation. But to see that kind of old school approach, just dumping the ball inside, that was good to see because it's something different. But I'm pretty sure, our game plan will be the same like it always is. Double the post, get it out, continue to rotate, fight. Another player that you mentioned, Llewellyn, he's out. I was excited. I would have loved to see him more. He transferred in from Princeton, and that's another guy. So these 2 upcoming games, we had Cam Spencer coming from Loyola, Maryland, playing for Tavares Hardy. Now Llewellyn, he's here at Michigan from Princeton, who played for Mitch Henderson, who also was a coach at Northwestern. So I think that overall Northwestern connection is really cool.
Yeah.
But I think overall we just have to focus on, staying out of foul trouble. Matthew Nixon going to have to do a great job of defending the same way he did against Indiana. And we're going to have to take advantage of those inexperienced guards. We have 2 really good senior guards. Ty Berry has been playing well. And we're going to need our bench. We didn't piggyback. We didn't really talk about Headband Robbie Barron.
Forgot that about Headband Bob. I don't know how I did.
There you go. That's the name, Headband Bob. So hopefully he keeps that going, and we can just run on a big winning streak with that. So we're going to need our bench, but most probably we're going to have to stop that inside, stay out of foul trouble, and our guards are going to have to continue to play that they've been playing.
Yeah, I think Robbie's a huge X factor for us. I really do. If he's making shots early, if he's involved in the offense, I think it just makes him that much more dynamic. He can obviously get stuff off the dribble as well. But when he's knocking down that outside shot, it really extends the defense, provides more lanes for Chase and Boo to create. And then obviously it gives himself opportunities to pick and pop, set that little drift screen, which I like that little wrinkle on that play that we ran against Illinois. I think we'll see that a couple more times, especially when he has some bigger guys on him. So I'm looking for some more out of Robbie Barron. And when he plays well, we're really tough to beat because our guards have been phenomenal. When we have that third option, that third scorer, sometimes fourth, right? Because Ty had 13. If he's in double figures, we're going to be really difficult to beat. So I could see some games coming like that for Robbie where he's going to really need to step up, make some big buckets for us down the stretch, and keep rocking that headband because there's obviously some good juju in there.
Headband Bob, I like that.
I don't know what happened. Right. I heard he had like staples or something. It must have been like a practice.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Now they got the photos of him as a kid with the headband. So I'm like, he has to keep that going. We just won with it. A big roll win.
I didn't mind the look anyways. I thought it looked good. Yeah, before I even knew he had cuts on his head, I kind of liked the swag of the headband. I could never pull it off.
Hey, you never know, man. You got to try it out.
I tried before. I'm not going to show you those pictures.
All right, with that, let's transition into the word on campus. Anything you've been hearing, anything you want to talk about that's going on with the Wildcats on campus?
Yeah,
I got
man.
a few things. I'll let you kick it off.
I got one because this has been a huge thing for me, since, day one here is like, how can we increase the support for this team? They're obviously pouring their heart and soul out, have practiced really hard since the summer, have really improved. And the overall camaraderie of the team has, really showed on the court. It seems like they play hard for one another. They respect one another, and the coaching staff has done a great job of bringing this group together and playing as a unit. They have an identity, and I think the crowd is going to need to match that. And I think it started last week against Illinois. Obviously, with the students coming back, we had a huge showing of students. When I walked into the game, there was probably 100 to 200 students waiting outside because they couldn't get in. I was like, what's going on? Like, did they not let people in yet? But then come to realize that the student section was completely sold out. So the word on campus this week is that we have expanded the student section, which is probably, one of the few times we've ever done that. And Welsh Ryan is going to be rocking on Wednesday. So that's great to see. We added 200 seats for students. We're adding additional shuttles and buses from campus, giving out Raising Canes, T-shirts, Retro Night, all this stuff to really.
We gotta get some of those T-shirts too to represent.
I know. But we're really creating some excitement on campus, and it's really good to see the student body as well as the alumni base really get behind this team and push them forward, because it's going to be a huge home court advantage moving forward. And Coach Collins said it in his presser after the Illinois game. Like, it makes a huge difference. And when Welsh Ryan is at capacity, when the students are right down on you, there's balloons waving, the students are yelling, they're doing all their crazy stuff. It really creates an atmosphere that is tough to play in. So I think if we continue to have that, continue to build that momentum, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with at home as well as on the road, as we've proved here. So I know you've got some stuff to cover too, with your ears on the ground. So what do you got for us, Juice?
Cool. And before I go into all that, like you said, with our crowd being so loud, as a player, you know how that is. I'm sure you remember it, especially on the road. When it's loud, sometimes you can't even hear the play that your coach is calling or the point guard or whoever's bringing the ball up. Sometimes it happens so fast you can't think. So with this addition of the extra 200 students, I really think that's going to be a great thing, and it's going to continue to help us. And we're going to continue to move on. With that, some other announcements. We beat Illinois and Indiana, arguably the best week in Big Ten basketball with our 2 wins. And before that game, there was some chatter that Indiana will go undefeated at home in the Big Ten Conference. You and I both didn't agree with that. We got the first opportunity, the first crack at it, and we were successful. We didn't think they would go undefeated, and we did a really good job. Came out, got a nice win on the road, and now we're back here. And you know how those trips are when you're coming back home after a win, whether it's on the bus, on the plane. So I'm excited. Guys, are supporting their teams, but, some of that stuff isn't realistic. We got us a big win. And just to see, after like that Illinois game, I was able to go into the locker room, talk to a few guys, and just to see how happy Coach Collins was, Coach Battle, Coach McIntosh, all those guys are really happy, excited. And to see some of the recruits there, to see a big win like that with that atmosphere, I think that's really, really huge going forward. Recruits want to see the campus. They obviously want to see you win, but to see that kind of environment, I'm sure those high schoolers there were looking and just saying, oh, I can't wait to be in an environment like this and be able to play in something like that. So everything is going great. Atmosphere, camaraderie, everything is huge around campus. Excited to see what we can do in these upcoming weeks after getting 2 big quality wins. Yeah, it's all about building the resume up from here, right? Like that Pitt loss is looking better and better as poorly as we played. That they're looking like a top 25 team. And then in terms of our resume and what it looks like right now, we have 2 quad 1 road wins at Michigan State, at Indiana, and then another quad 1 win against Illinois. So if we can continue to build up momentum in the conference, I think if we get to 9 wins in the conference, we're a surefire NCAA tournament team, without a doubt. And obviously we're well on our way to that right now. So I think we got to stick to the script, right? Like you and I have said, 1-game seasons all the way through,
First game here, first next season is going to be against Rutgers at home. Then we move on, right? Win or loss, go back to the drawing board. We handle our business at Michigan as well. And then we talk about the next week and go on that way, or do, 2-game seasons, whatever it may be, whatever keeps us motivated, whatever keeps us on top of our game, I think is going to be crucial for us moving forward. But the trajectory is looking great. I loved seeing Joe Lenardi put our names on on his bracketology report. I'm gonna be looking out for that every Monday as well. So as long as we continue to see our names on there, you and I are going to be some happy campers, as well as the full alumni base and fan base supporting these guys. So
definitely,
that's really all I got today, man.
Definitely, yeah. The alumni are 100% behind the team. They're all excited with the projection, the trajectory of the team. So everything is looking up. We take care of business, go 2-0 again this week. We should see our names, with the little ranking number next to it. Fingers crossed. But we got to take care of business first. First upcoming is Rutgers. So, like you said, 1-game season, 1 game at a time. Take care of that. Then we focus on Michigan.
No doubt.
With that, Wildcat Alley, we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. You can find us, our podcast, on all your podcast platforms. Stay tuned in with us. I'm Juice Thompson. Alex Marcotullio, Shooter Shakes. Always good time catching up with you, my man.
For sure, Juice. I'll see you tomorrow at the game.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it, my man.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.